What happens when potential becomes a punchline? When a player who was once the top overall pick, the centerpiece of a finals run, becomes an afterthought in the league he once helped electrify? DeAndre Ayton is only 26 years old. Let that sink in. 26. And yet, if you scrolled through NBA Twitter today, you'd think he was a 33-year-old journeyman washed out of his prime. You'd think he was some relic of a bygone era, an example of the league moving past the big man. But the truth is far more complicated and far more important. Because what if the narrative about Ayton is just wrong? What if, instead of being a bust or a soft big who shrunk in big moments, we've simply misunderstood what he is? What if the player everyone stopped believing in was never supposed to be what we expected in the first place? See, the story of DeAndre Ayton isn't just about basketball. It's about expectations. It's about how narratives get built and then weaponized. And to understand how we got here, you have to go back. Not to Phoenix, not to Portland, but to the moment when DeAndre Ayton walked into the NBA and had the word #1 stitched onto his name. Because from that moment forward, he wasn't allowed to be just good. He had to be dominant. DeAndre Ayton never bullied defenders. He didn't throw elbows, he didn't roar after dunks, he didn't pound his chest or shatter backboards, and that right there is where the league began to turn on him. Because we expect our centers to be monsters. We want Shaq, we want Embiid, we want someone who snatches the ball like a villain and slams it down with violent finality. Ayton? He glides, he pivots, he floats hook shots over defenders with touch that feels more ballet than brawl. And the league, it didn't know what to do with that. He's soft, they said. He disappears, they claimed. He doesn't want it bad enough. But here's the truth. Ayton has one of the softest touches we've ever seen on a big man. Since 2021, he's attempted nearly 600 hook shots and hit nearly 60% of them. That's right there with the best in the league. And if he can't get to the hook, he'll drop a mid-range jumper in your eye. Not once, not twice, but over 1,000 times in 5 seasons at over 50% efficiency. He doesn't need power to beat you. He just needs space. And that's the paradox of DeAndre Ayton. He's 7 feet tall, 250 pounds, but he plays with the grace of a guard and the patience of a surgeon. And for some reason, instead of celebrating that, we call it a weakness. But maybe the real problem is that Ayton was never supposed to be the hammer. He was supposed to be the scalpel. There are bigs who explode through the rim. Ayton isn't one of them. There are bigs who stretch the floor with deep threes. That's not him either. And yet somehow, some way, Ayton still manages to quietly dominate the most important areas of the court without ever needing to shout about it. Take a closer look. Since 2021, 87 players in the NBA have attempted over 1,000 shots at the rim. Only 2 have finished better than Ayton. That's not a typo. That's not a stretch. That's efficiency bordering on elite. He's converting nearly 76% of his looks at the rim, and he's doing it while barely demanding the ball. But he doesn't just punish you at the rim. His game stretches out to that soft pocket of space, the short mid-range, the free throw line, the places where offensive sets begin to crumble and defenses get uncomfortable. From that zone, he's hit over 51% of his shots, and he's taken more than 1,400 of them in 5 seasons. That's not a fluke. That's a skill set. And then there's the long mid-range, the lost art, the place where bad shots go to die. Unless you're DeAndre Ayton, because from that zone, he hits nearly 47%, a number that would make even the best guards envious. He's not a stretch 5. He's something stranger, something harder to define, a vertical spacer, a mid-range savant, a high-touch, low-usage weapon who doesn't need the ball to hurt you, but punishes you the second you give him air. And yet people still talk about what he's not. They say he doesn't draw fouls, which is true. Ayton rarely gets to the line. He averages less than 2 free throws per game, and that's because he doesn't initiate contact. He avoids it, sidesteps it, outmaneuvers it. His finishes are clean, precise, mechanical, but the result? Still the same. Points, quietly, efficiently, over and over again. And maybe that's why teams haven't rushed to grab him, because his greatness isn't loud, it's not explosive, it's not designed for highlights or house mixes. It's clinical, and in a league obsessed with chaos, Ayton's control almost feels like alien. But here's the twist. Give him the right partner, and that control becomes a cheat code. Watch enough film of DeAndre Ayton and something becomes obvious. He doesn't want to lead the dance. He wants to glide beside you, complement your rhythm, amplify your moves. And when that partner is elite, when they know how to create space, bend defenses, and feed a big, that's when Ayton looks like the perfect 7-foot solution. Because he's not just a finisher, he's a reader of space. In the pick and roll, his value isn't about brute force, it's about timing. He isn't going to crush a defender with a bone-rattling screen. That's not his game. He slips, he ghosts, he delays. And in doing so, he forces the defense into hesitation. Because when Ayton catches the ball in the short roll, he can make plays, real ones. He can take that extra dribble, get downhill, and rise. Or he can quickly spot the rotating help and fire a skip pass to the corner. It's not flashy, but it's clean, it's efficient, it's surgical. And in today's NBA, that matters more than ever. But what truly separates Ayton from the average roll man is his mobility. He's light on his feet, glides like a guard, and when the defense makes the fatal mistake of trailing the play, he's already behind them, waiting, rising, dunking, and with a 7'6" wingspan and elite vertical pop, his lob radius is stupid. There's almost no angle where he can't finish, and that's what makes him deadly with the right creator. Imagine Luka threading those skip passes. Imagine Cade cutting into the lane, drawing help, and lobbing it up. Ayton doesn't need to call for it. He'll be there every time. Because for all the talk about him being a finesse big, here's what really matters. He makes your superstar's life easy. He doesn't clog the paint. He doesn't need touches to stay involved. He hits his shots at an elite rate and keeps your spacing clean. And on the offensive glass, he's a menace. Last season, he averaged nearly 4 offensive rebounds per 75 possessions. That's his best mark in years. And that's not just about effort. That's about instincts, about knowing where the ball is going before it even hits the rim, about creating second chances without demanding the spotlight. That's what makes Ayton different. He's not a ceiling raiser, he's a floor lifter. You give him a stable offense, a real playmaker, and a role, and he will execute it better than almost any big in the league. But now here's the question. Can he defend well enough to stay on the floor in the playoffs?